Organizing continued. By night, the schools were used for voter education. By day, children learned everything from the 3 R's to Black history and literature. By late July, the 3 young men had been missing for 6 weeks. Many lost hope that they were still alive. While the search continued, President Lyndon Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The new law increased the federal government's power to ban discrimination in public places, but did little to enforce the voting rights of blacks. On August 4th, on a farm outside the town of Philadelphia, the bodies of Goodman, Cheney, and Schwerner were discovered buried together in an earthen dam. The autopsy reports indicated that the men had been killed by 38,000 voters. A later report revealed that James Cheney, the one black victim, had also suffered severe bone and skull fractures. August 7th, 1964.
And it is beginning on the basis that it believes that a political party should be open to all the people who wish to subscribe to its principles.
The MFDP planned to challenge the state's Democratic Party for the right to represent Mississippi at the Democratic National Convention in Atlantic City. It would be the culmination of Freedom Summer. Atlantic City, New Jersey, site of the 1964 Democratic Convention. Lyndon Johnson expected no opposition in getting his party's nomination, but was concerned the MFDP would disrupt party unity. With the arrival of the Freedom Democrats on August 20th, there were now 2 delegations.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. We live.
Good morning, good people.
Come on in here.
All right, I see we got Ms. Walker in here. Good morning, Ms. Walker.
John, I'm gonna start sharing. We gotta get our people in here. They snowed in and all carrying on
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, and just for the people who were on here earlier, we just ran a snippet from the PBS documentary Freedom Summer of 1964. One is just remembrance of Black History Month, but two, you know, in solidarity with the people who sacrificed a lot just for the freedoms that we have today.
Amen. And John, I know you are a history buff. You love history. You have taught me so much. And I appreciate the friendship and the knowledge.
Yep. Teamwork.
Teamwork.
I see Miss Wilson in here. Good morning. How you guys in this weather? It is cold. Went out the sun came out, so I went outside to get the ice off my car, start the car up, give the engine a little kick. So yeah, it's cold outside, and it's likely to refreeze tonight. But right now, it's the time to go get some eggs if I can.
Some eggs.
Some eggs. Ran out of eggs.
Oh no. I am trying to share here. I'm
Okay.
sharing
Good.
to the group.
Good morning, Victoria, and thank you for jumping on last night.
Wow. We had a really good call with our parents last night. I think we can recap that a little bit about
Yeah.
what we talked about.
Yeah, and I'll give it a recap first. And so last night, as we do it, every third Tuesday, we do our campaign training, and specifically, it's around the campaign that we're running right now. If you don't know, it's around personalized learning plan. And so we had about 19 to 20 parents who have gone through our fellowship come on and just really discuss like why this is important, for the movement, but why this is important for them specifically. And Tierra, cohort 2, kicked us off by just telling her own personal story of being a graduate from MNPS. I think she graduated from White Creek, but really talked about her deficiencies in reading that she never wanted to talk about until her son was in the 5th grade, and she realized that in order to help him, she had to admit what she was on reading and face that. And it was so strong, we ended up having one of our founding members, and Clarissa, come out and just talk about her journey and her struggle for her son. I think she said her son is 7, and she is really, just to be honest, like he is a struggling reader. And she was working on phonics and some other things. But if you know Clarissa, you will know how involved she is, how she goes to bat for her kids, how she'll drive, ride the bus, do anything on behalf of her kids. But she's still having a struggle with her son.
And oh, what a powerful story that
Yeah,
Tierra told last night, and powerful story that Clarissa told. The power of the story.
yeah,
And John, you just said something, and I was sharing in the group, but you said something that really resonated with me. The power of the story is important because if we don't tell our story, other people will.
yep,
And so we know that Clarissa works with her child. We know how brilliant children are. We know how brilliant Tierra is. We know how Tierra works with her child. But if we don't tell the story, someone will tell the story that we don't care about our children, that we go buy them $200 Jordans and then they can't read. Yes, there's a teacher that posted that, and we're gonna address that too.
yeah,
But people will tell the story for you, and they'll lie on you and they'll shame you, when in fact we know we have a system failure.
yep. Yeah, it's yeah, I read that too. I think one of our organizers posted it, and it just speaks to just how some people just don't want to partner. Some people don't want to believe that even if you work hard, there's still academic struggles within not just MNPS, but the system as a whole. And yeah, we got to be better than that, and we gotta hold those teachers accountable, because if that's what they believe, it's clear that they're not giving their all for all kids.
Yeah, and just to kind of just recap this teacher, there's a history of this teacher shaming children, history of this teacher not being a good communicator. We got receipts for that. And so for me to see that last night, to be honest, I thought about it all night, John. I thought about the bias, and I thought about the how people are really not invested, right? And I know that there are some great educators out there, so I don't want to bucket all educators in that category. But when you got a little poison, right? A little poison gets in the body, it still poisons the body.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can still kill you. So very disappointed in an African American teacher who is disconnected with the community in which she is serving. And she was celebrating all these things, these little parties and party favors and things that she collected in donations. But do you really understand the work you're doing when you complain and say that social issues don't belong, teachers shouldn't have to address social issues, but
Mhm.
you addressing parties and getting donations from the community, but in the same breath you say it ain't your problem.
Yep.
That don't make sense to me.
Not at all. Not at all. And just going back to even last night, I think you just realize that, parents are doing the best that we can. And this is a struggle that we've been dealing with even when I was a kid, and I'm pretty sure my mother and her mother dealt with it. And so right now it's a time to fix it. It's a time to change.
Yes.
We're building the parent power. I mean, to have those parents on the call and just talk through what they believe in and how they support the personalized learning plan. I think it gives us hope. Even when I see that, I can just quickly write it off and say I'll deal with it later, but keep this train moving.
Yeah. And oh, the parent power,
Yeah.
John. It was, I think last night was so exciting for me in two different ways. Like you said, the personalized learning plan, but also doing the work that we do,
Mm-hmm.
developing our parents into powerful parent leaders. And we do that by building their knowledge. And there were things that we talked about on that call last night that they did not know. But you know what? I believe, and I know for a fact, because they know now, they are ready to organize around the issues and ready to take action. And
Mm-hmm.
that gives me so much hope. One of the questions we asked last night, could we change? Is it possible to change the situation? And everybody on that call said, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody on the call said, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
So
exciting.
yeah, and we got work to do, and we look forward to the partnership with you guys in the upcoming feature. But one thing we put in, and Ms. Williams just jumped on. Ms. Williams was on the call with us as well. I think cohort 5. Shout out to Ms. Williams. She shared her personal story too about. I think she said she made a 24 on the ACT, but she highlighted how low her scores were in the reading or literacy part, which she probably would have scored. I mean, if she's at a 24. Overall in her reading she probably would have scored a 30. And so just the sheer genius of our kids and our students, and not being able to realize it is a lot of people when they don't have the foundation.
I think that's why we make it, though. Let me tell you
Yeah.
something. The reason why a lot of us are successful, even though we were struggling readers, is because it's not about IQ.
Mm-hmm.
Learning to read, 5% of the population just learn how to read with naturally. 35% of the population needs like that moderate support. 60% of the population has to have intentional investment
Mm-hmm.
in reading skills and those things being built. I thought about something last night. So I just said 60%, right? 60% of the population. And when we look at our literacy facts, our data, 60% of third graders are not reading on grade level. I thought about that last night. Look
Yeah.
at that. We didn't make that up.
Yeah.
The science says 60% need to have this intentional science of reading with phonics, phonemic awareness, fluency, vocabulary, comprehension. They need to be able to decode by the time they're in the second grade. And our data right here in MNPS says that 60% of third graders statewide, I believe that's a statewide number,
Yeah.
are not reading on grade level by the time they get to third grade. Who can make that up? My God.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what I mean. That's what we're dealing with, and that's why this work is so important, and that's why we got to continue to show parent power. We got some big things coming up later on this week, and definitely next week as we go through February and Black History Month, and then March. You know, it's going to be our signature initiative where we do a huge focus on reading, whether it's our speaker series and our events that we have coming up.
Yes, we got our parent summit coming up. We didn't get to have our summit because of COVID in 2020, and we have big plans for our Get Your Priorities Straight
Hmm.
Parent Summit. And we're looking at March the 27th at 11 o'clock, but we'll be putting out more information about that as to how we're going to do that, because we're going to be doing that a little different this year. But we always persevere, John. We've
Yep.
had to alter everything that we've done, and we've still met goals and been able to build a movement. So I'm not worried at all.
Yep. And so I like to pose a question just before we jump right into it. You know, we've been snowed in. Well, I've been snowed in since Monday. Some people, you know, I've been car watching when people drive by, watching them slide, watching them slip. But how has everyone been doing? How have you been keeping your sanity in this 2021 snow and ice storm? Let us know how you have been keeping your sanity, because I might need some tips.
Right. Hey, Tamika. Hey, Angela. Maisha. Who else we got on here? I'm trying to see. Dominique. Candice. Candice, you be careful. I worry about you with your injury. Don't you slip. Hey,
Yeah.
Kanisha. Hey, Dr. Burke. My
Yep.
girl running for the PAC vice president. Congratulations.
Come
Wish
on
you
now.
well. Hey, Visha, my friend, you sitting up in the bed today? Or you what you doing?
Yeah.
She jumped out of pigs. Nicole. Who else we got, John?
Yeah, yeah. That's and we already referenced it, but those are the ones who have commented it, along with Miss Walker.
Hey, y'all. I think you know what Jordan asked last night. Hey, Ivory, that's my little mini me. Yes, honey, that's gonna be my little mini me. She's powerful. Jordan asked last night about the school options. Do we want to talk about that a little bit? I know
Let's
she's
do
gonna
it.
send us some questions because that application process closed on the 12th, I believe.
It did last Friday.
Mhm. And so another reason why we do this work is, or the reason why we do this work is
Hmm.
because we represent like parents and grandparents from our most struggling communities who are zoned or 10 our lowest performing schools. And so what we do know is when parents, Black people, especially when we don't have a choice, we die. And I know that sounds harsh, but let's talk about that. We die
Hmm.
uh, physically, emotionally, social, economically, health wise. We die. We do not prosper. We cannot prosper or succeed without a choice. So I hope you guys use your your options, and I hope that you had enough information that informed your choice.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is yeah. I mean, the option season ended. I don't think we had last year. I remember our team actually going up to the central office. There was a long line. It was the last day, and we really just talked about. We talked to parents. We talked to Black, Latino, white, Egyptian
I
parents.
remember that with
Yep,
Raymond and
yep, and Lita. Yep.
yeah.
And just to hear, you know, the district didn't want us up there. We were like, this is a public place to operate, and we're not bothering anybody. We're having a conversation. But I think even the district people started to hear from parents what kept them up at night. What was their focus while they were there, and what would happen if they didn't get their preferred choice. And so it was eye opening for us, but it was eye opening for the district who sat there and watched us talk to parents.
I tell you what's really hard is that we don't have enough high school options. We are hurting as far as having options for high school,
Hmm.
especially when you look at 37207, 37208 zip codes. We are hurting really bad. Just personally for me, the decisions that I'm going to have to make in the next few months are going to be really hard because they could be hard on me financially.
Yeah.
They're hard on me mentally. And, most of all, this could be life changing for my son. It is going to be life changing because he's going to high school. He deserves and needs the very best, and he needs personalized learning so that he can reach his greatest potential. But I feel like I don't have any options, John.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in the same boat. Just when I think about middle school, well, he's 2 grades behind your son, but what happens after middle school is we go into high school. And I think as I hear from parents, a big transition year for parents, and I'm pretty sure it was this year, but it's the transition between 4th and 5th grade, going from elementary to middle school. Like most of those parents in line were in the transition years. They had kids who were going to middle school or had kids who were going to high school. And we just got to realize, parents are making decisions with their feet. In 1972, the Metro Nashville Public School student population was 100,000. At our greatest in the past 5 years, it's been at 86. And so we just realized that, it's a little racism involved in that, but parents are still voting with their feet. And it's mainly, if you look at the data, it's after elementary. They love our elementary schools, but parents are super afraid of our middle schools and a little bit of our high schools.
Yeah, and speaking of racism, I think, do you remember a couple of months ago when one of our West Nashville parents said that black parents just need to just take their kids on over to the charter schools and let West Nashville just do what they do. Remember that?
Yeah, that was Chris.
Yeah, Chris Mock, who is anti-child. But he showed his ass and he showed his racism and his supremacy because he feels like, what's going on in his neighborhood and West Nashville, he's fine, he's okay, and we should just take our ass on somewhere and just deal with it. And that's what he said in so many words. And excuse all of the language, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes you got to sit back and realize that when someone says something, they be like, what do you mean? They are so detached from just reality, the reality of people. I mean, even right now, we're looking at, Stephanie, shout out to Stephanie Cardi, one of our fellows. Middle schools and high school options are limited. You look at Maisha, like we're thinking about moving out of Davidson. Kanisha, she's talking about they have to make hard decisions and they're thinking about leaving, So it's just we really got to have this discussion because we have this discussion here, but we got to take it to where the people make the decisions, the policy.
Yeah, and that's our mission. Like we have to demand equitable education policies and practices. And I was born and raised in Nashville. I never wanted to live anywhere else. Why should I have to take my child out of the city that I was born and raised and where I want to be? And why should I have to supplement my child's education or pay for something that my public dollars pay for, my tax money pays for? And I'm not pro charter, pro private, pro traditional. So if you can get what you need to get from any of those options, like I'm such an advocate for that because we want what's best for our children, but it's rough out here. It's rough. I mean, a lot of us can't afford to live here and to pay for private school.
Yeah. I'll tell you it wasn't even funny, but it made me chuckle a little bit because, these were the same, before they were parents, they were people who just did not understand why parents make decisions outside of the neighborhood schools. And they were having this debate. She was like, I'm really struggling with sending my child to the neighborhood school. And, she lives in Words and Laws. I think the neighborhood school is Buena Vista. And then a lady with the teachers union got on and said, I know you're going to make the best decision for your son by going into that school and helping get it up to date and helping the academics, like you're going to work it from the ground up. And her response was so classic. I screenshotted it because I needed to see. I realized that she still is a person, but she wasn't a parent and she wasn't thinking about her own kid. She was like, I, essentially, hell no, I won't be sending. She was like, I'm not going to put my son as a test case to help build the school up while he's there if it's not there already. And she said it so clear and straight to the point. It just made me chuckle a little bit because now she has a heart when she's thinking about her own kids. But she was a fighter for neighborhood schools before she had a kid.
You know what's so difficult for me to understand about that? I was a mama going, I mean, that's how I met you, John. I was a mama who was working a job. I was going to college and I was still going to the school, remember? And working at the school, going to the math nights, doing all those things, going to the meetings and setting up the library in the school and working with the calling parents. Even though I had a job in and was going to school. And that school is an ASD school, a priority school. Terrible. So what the hell does that got to do with anything? That's why I hate it when people say parent engagement. What the hell do you mean by that? What does that have to do with our right to be taught how to read?
You know, these are the things that we go through, and I'm just going back up. You know, Stephanie started with, you know, middle schools and high school options are limited, but then just to go down, like as we look at Candace, she talks about how, you know, she missed the Louisiana schools, but they were worse for special needs kids. You know, at the end of the day, we got to do what's best for us. And I just remember, again, I just love these stories because it's so funny that I went to this meeting and you know, White's Creek is hailed as the creme de la creme in North Nashville, Bordeaux, right behind Pearl. Like Pearl High alumni, they're awesome, and they really advocate. But I had to break down the numbers. I was like, man, what did White Creek produce when you were graduating? And they talk so proudly, you know, doctors, lawyers, CEOs, NBA players. And I was like, when was the last time you've been to White Creek and looked at, one, their graduation rate, but two, like where they were going? And I was like, in your mind, it's still the same White Creek. In reality, it's a much different place that people are just not sending their kids to.
Let me tell you something. I graduated from White Creek. They did not start reporting data on these schools to what, 2011? When I went to White Creek, we had a enrollment population that was up there, right? But let me tell y'all something. Sometimes we don't know if it's hidden from us what we really had, right? So my thing is, can them basketball players and football players read? No. Let me tell you how many of my classmates on the day of graduation did not walk with me. Okay? So let's not inflate the situation. You know, if you got 1,000 students, 2,000 students in the school, yeah, and some people flourish, but most don't. Is that really a quality school? I think that it was never quality. I think a lot of us were passed through in elementary, middle, and high school. Y'all remember being on the gold team and the blue team at UM Park? I made somebody realize that one day. They was like, oh my God, let's talk about the teams, how they divide up teams of students. And you look at how one team of student was educated versus the other team. Stop playing with us. Stop playing with us.
Definitely work to do. So that's just where we are now. We're trying to figure out, just from you guys, what's most important to you as you think about, you know, finishing this school year. It's close to March. We got April, May, you know, Right now, the proposal is to do testing in person. I know the state legislature hasn't been meeting since it's been snowed in, but yeah, like we're going to close a year if state government has their way. All kids will be back in school getting tested, at least 80%. And then August, we'll have a new school year, and we don't know where the vaccine is. Will it allow us to be back in person, or will we still have a hybrid? But what are you guys thinking about just fast forward as we think about the end of this school year and as we think about August?
That is, Kimberly said, I remember being on teams in middle school. Back down memory lane.
Mm-hmm.
Then you start tying that stuff together because you never really thought about it. But yeah, like, what are you guys, what's keeping you awake at night?
Yeah.
Someone reached out to Sarah Carpenter and I in a text message. Neither one of us answered it, asking what we thought about the assessments that are coming up. Look, we already done said what we said. We want our children assessed.
Yeah.
We want that data. Let me educate y'all on something. If you don't get that data, you don't know where your kids are.
Yeah.
So you want them to test your kids. You want them to assess your kids. And those who are anti-child, who have something to hide, they'll say, giving those tests don't show how much they learn. And then, they don't really show the true proficiency that's happening in the academic achievement that's happening in the school. Darn lie. Yeah, do.
Yeah.
We want it. We want it. We want the data. We want to see where our children are.
Yep.
Y'all want our tax dollars, don't you?
Yep. Candace says they're giving out grades like participatory trophies, and I don't know.
Baby, we need to quote that somewhere. What they doing, Candace? They give. I got the screenshot there, honey. We're gonna have to quote. We're gonna have to write that somewhere for you, baby. Put Candace just said that. Say it, John Reed.
Yeah, she said, they're giving out grades like participation trophies to my son when I know he doesn't understand the work. And that's what we're dealing with. And then Maisha says, I definitely see passing through in the Antioch cluster. I know a little girl that's in the 8th grade on a 1st grade reading level. And Sonia, as I read that, and we talked about it, and then this pandemic hit, but I'm telling you, like, we need to be testing where our children are on reading, like, and maybe even helping the district independently, like, test where our students are by somebody who's considered an expert, so they won't challenge their ethical accommodations, and just get these real results from a test that the district has used or similar sized districts use, and like really see where our kids are.
And Maisha, can you please send that parent to us? Please, I'm begging you to please connect us with that parent. Everybody under the sound of our voices. Connect as many parents to us. We've got to get them developed to fight for their kids and all kids. This is important, guys.
Yeah. And we're going to pull up a couple of comments, but one thing I want to highlight really quick, Sonia, is just the numbers. Like, I think, this is something that we have talked about, and I want to make sure, like, we're going over this. And so when we look at, let me pull it up. And so when we look at the problem, right, 2019, not on track by the numbers, out of 6,319 third graders, 4,500 of them are not on track. When we look at 80 elementary schools, and again, our parents love our elementary schools. They feel like they're being served, but 63 out of 80 of the elementaries have more than 60% of third graders who are not on track for reading, right? So what does that really mean when we think about that? And so let's go to one of our best school districts, in the county right now. Let me pull it through.
You saw that 60% number.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we're not implementing the science behind reading, 60% of children are not going to read.
That the number, numbers don't lie. So then let's go back to a district profile. Like this is District 8, this is kind of Southwest Nashville. This is the Hillsborough cluster, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the summary, as you guys see, it serves the smallest number of students in MNPS. It has the lowest percentage of English language learners, has the lowest percentage of economically disadvantaged students. It ranks at the top of MNPS in measures of academic achievement, and it has the highest college-ready scores in MNPS. And so let's look at results. And so in District 8, Hillsborough cluster, 48% of the kids are on track around literacy. 26, well, yeah.
Wait a minute, let's talk about that.
Yep.
On track does not mean that they're proficient.
Mm-hmm.
So these parents, what District 8 parents, don't get it twisted. Your children are not reading compared to other students across the country. And we'll talk about what reading means, but that on track is not the same as being proficient.
Mm-hmm.
That still can mean that they're behind.
Mm-hmm. So it's 48. It's less than 50%. It's when you look at the math part, it's close to 25%. So 1 out of 4 are on track, considered on track. So let's look at that. But let's try, Sonia. What's another district? So if we looked at that, it ranks at the top of MNPS for academic.
Let's look at District 1.
Okay, let's go through that. And guys, as we're pulling this up, if the Hillsborough cluster is 48% on track in literacy and 26% on track in math, what do we think? Make your calculations about District 1. So if you guys can start putting that in the chat while I pull it up.
Come on, take a guess. Put a percentage in there. Hurry up before he pulls it out. Let me see it. I can't see the comments here. Let me see. Chat. That's where I need to go. Comments. Let me see, y'all. Come on. Let's see some numbers. Tamika Reese says, wow. Yes, Tamika Reese, we need to connect. I know you got, we talked back in the summer. We need to reconnect. We got work to do.
Yep. Kimberly White says, I feel like they don't want to know the truth. They want to keep, the It City image. Ms. Walker, shout out to Cohort 7, jumped on there. She said, okay, 25% in District 1. Let's say she meant literacy on that. Okay. Jamise Copeland said 30%. Let's think about literacy. Okay, Victoria says 45%. Okay. We got some good predictions. We got 25, 30, and 45. And so let's see.
Drum roll.
Okay. And so District 1, which is Northwest Nashville, it has about 7,600 students. The summary, it has the second highest percentage of economically disadvantaged students, has the second lowest percent of English language learners, has the lowest literacy scores in MNPS, and has the second highest student suspension rate in MNPS. And so when we look at the numbers, and so as a district, again, it's at 26%. In District 1, it is 15%. On literacy, it is 10%. In district schools, at their charter schools, it's 27%. In math, at the district level, in District 1, it's 18%. For the traditional schools, it's 12%. And then at the charters, it's 30. And then overall for the district, it's 26%. And so that's District 1. And so when you guys see that, like, what comes to mind? We looked at Hillsborough, and then we looked at, Board Oak. Ms. Walker says, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And as the weeks go on, we're going to explain and train you to understand why it is the way that it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why is it in a predominantly white district that the literacy, because to me, that's still not good, but are better than it is in a District 1 with predominantly Black students? That's because there's a science to reading.
Mm-hmm.
There are things that have to happen with reading. It's like vocabulary and awareness of the events around you, and exposure to different issues and world events, conversations. All of those things play in to helping children learn to read. And so we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
And then we're just going to talk about teachers don't even know how to teach children how to read.
Yeah.
So then when children are struggling, you know, if you don't know how to address the struggle, you know, you're not even putting a Band-Aid on it.
Mm-hmm.
You're just going with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody's frustrated. That's when the name calling comes in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mama can buy some $200. You know, well, I don't even know hardly no children know $200 Jordans. I don't even know where that crap comes from.
Yeah.
But you know, mama buying $200 Jordans, or poor parenting, and it's the parents' fault, and they're not reading to them, and all of that crap.
Yeah. And sometimes people make up stuff because it's just so hard to believe that kids have not been served well. You know, one thing that I just challenge people with, I say, you know, in the White Creek cluster, you know, there's some kids that go to the lowest performing its priority schools, which are the bottom 5% schools, not just in Nashville, but the state. There are a lot of schools in the state, and these are like the bottom 5. And we used to have 21, but we shut down a few of them. So I think we moved to 18 and 19. But think about this, guys. There are some kids right now who went to a bottom 5% elementary school, the lowest performing school in middle school, and then the lowest performing school in high school. And we ask ourselves, what happened? But I like what Victoria said. She was like, they should be in jail, my personal thought. And again, this is what some people say, well, my child gonna make it, right? Thank God, like we need that belief. But these are the numbers, right? Everybody child can't make it. And the majority of it is a very low percentage of those kids are getting educated, whether it's your child or not. It's not a lot. It's some of the lowest in the whole state.
What does it mean to make it? A lot of our parents only know what they know, so they can only compare to what they can compare to. Some people don't even know that they deserve better. Children, parents, they don't even know, because they've never lived above where they've lived. You know, John, you said it best the other day. I don't even know what $1 billion look and smell.
Right. I don't know.
And so to say that our children, you know, mine gonna make it, what does it mean to make? Why it shouldn't be okay for us to just make it.
Yeah.
But I do understand sometimes when you don't know what to do and you feel powerless, you have the innate sense of survival to do what's easy, to say what's easy, and to deal with what's easy. Coco says exactly my point. I'm not sure which point she's talking about, but fired up, ready to go. We're in this together, Coco.
Yeah, so we got work to do. Again, we got our speaker series that's coming up this Monday, and really it's in line with our personalized learning plan. But this is how we got to do it, guys. Like, we got to have the same discussion we have on Wednesday. We got to have it with people who are making the decisions and give them the heart so they can understand it's not just a student body. It's Dominique, it's Jason, it's Alicia. Like, these are real kids who are growing up in a system. And if we don't get it right, the system will fail them. And we know what it looks like because we can look outside our window. We can look inside our communities that we grew up with and look at what education failure looks like.
And guys, just FYI, and John, I don't know if you want to pull up the slide with our upcoming events. If you are interested in joining our movement, learning more about the landscape of education, then if you don't mind typing in the comments, Coco and Tamika, some of these new people that you're interested, say I'm all in or something, so that we know that you're interested, so we can reach out to you and contact you. Right now we have we're about to finish up one of our parent advocacy fellowship cohorts, and we have a waiting list for applications for parents. So we want to get you guys into that class. So just to kind of recap what we have going over the next few weeks, just remember that every Wednesday we are right here at 11 a.m. with Access Denied. And on February the 22nd, at 6 p.m., we'll have our speaker series with Dr. Adrian Battle, who will be our guest, who will be talking about MNPS signature initiatives, and particularly the student dashboard, which will give parents the information they need to know where their children are, like assessment data, attendance, those types of things that are very important, but also personalized learning, where we'll make sure that every student, as Dr. Battle said, every student is known, but not just that they're known, but they have a plan with goals, with dates, and with priorities set for them to be successful. So we welcome Dr. Battle, where we'll be having that discussion on Monday night at 6 p.m. Please, please, please register. You can register on our Facebook, John, right? Can they do the Facebook? Register on Facebook. Let us know you're attending. Please share that event, February the 22nd. February the 28th, Nashville Propel will be featured in a documentary by Soledad O'Brien Productions that will be featured on BET. And I got that time wrong. It is at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. I don't know if you can do that in real time, John. Change that for me.
Okay, gotcha.
8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And it'll be on BET, along with some other leaders and activists. It's going to be 9 Eastern, John, instead of 7. Some other leaders here in Nashville for the docu-series Disrupt, Dismantle. Now, that series starts on February the 21st, so it's going to be a 6-part series, but we will be featured on February 28th. So make sure you guys watch that. It's going to be great. Then March the 22nd at 6 p.m. is our speaker series for March. We'll have Dr. Zach Barnes, who will talk about this literacy crisis and educate our parents around the science of reading. And then March the 27th, 2021, details to be announced. We will have our 3rd annual Get Your Priorities Straight Parents Summit, and we will be talking about the right to be taught how to read. Stephanie says, can you post this event slide as a photo on the Facebook? Yes, ma'am. And thank you for that feedback, because we want feedback on how to best keep you guys informed. So yes, we will post this. She said post it as a photo on the Facebook group. We'll make sure we got all the typos out of it, Stephanie, and we will have that posted today. Another announcement, there is a town hall about COVID-19, and it will be presented this Thursday at 6 o'clock. It's a COVID-19 town hall, and we will post this flyer also. Special guest will be Dr. Gerald Onuo of HCA Envision, Dr. Rita Banerjee of Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt, Dr. Theodora Pinnock of Meharry Medical College, and Amy Powell, RNBSN, Metro Nashville Public Health. And they will have a panel about what families need to know. So we will also post that. for you guys. I believe it's Thursday, and it's gonna be at 6:30 p.m. So we'll post that flyer. Did we get it all, John? Oh, like our social media.
Mm-hmm.
Go to our Twitter page at Nashville Propel. Make sure you're liking our Facebook page and you're sharing with people. And go to our website, NashvillePropel.org.
Yeah. And thank you guys this week again. We know we've been snowed in. We wanted to bring some good content. Check out the Freedom Summer video again. It's a prequel of why we do what we do, or why we do what we do in education. You guys have been so active. I saw Tamika, I saw Jameet said they want to join the movement. Nino, Candace, Kimberly, Kanisha, the rest of you guys are all in. Thank all of you guys. Miss Walker, I'm wrapping up cohort 7. We'll be going over organizing and mobilizing this week. So really look forward to it. And again, I appreciate you guys so much.
Hey, in regard, this is my Maisha. My Maisha. I just realized who this was. Hey, Maisha, I'm gonna call you. She just texted me. My Maisha. I gotta talk to you. I want to know about your son and what he's been doing. Oh my God. Okay, I'm sorry. I got excited. She just texted me and I just realized who Maisha was.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you guys so much again. And we will see you guys first we'll see you guys Monday for our speaker series with Dr. Adrian Battle. And then, of course, for many of you, we'll also see you on Access Denied next week at 11 o'clock.
Thank you. Bye-bye, y'all.
All right, see you guys. All right.